First tonight, the breaking story we've just been telling you about, the rescue of two men. They're working on the rescue of two men on the Little Miami River.
And we go straight back out to Dan Carroll, who is overhead in Chopper 9, the only chopper getting you breaking news first. And Dan, let's just continue for anyone joining us. Set the scene. What are we looking at?
Well, it's been a very pleasant day, and a lot of outdoor activities, and one of those activities might include spending some time on the river. And here's a couple of guys that were on in a canoe, and as we push in here, you're going to be able to see the canoe that got caught in the current and literally wrapped around this tree, and that's what they're standing on. They're standing on their canoe that's bent and wrapped around that tree, and they're holding on to that tree, waiting for rescuers to get to them. Now, you see the man on the right, the young man on the right there with the flotation device on. There's another man to the left. And I apologize for the picture shaking back and forth. We're just moving our position here in Chopper 9. But he does not appear to have a flotation device on. Now I'm going to pull the camera back and show you how close the rescuers are, really not all that far away. And there's the boat that we've been looking at that it looks like they're getting ready to put out into the water at any time now. So as we get to this part of the river, you look at the surface of the water and it looks pretty smooth and not really moving all that quickly. But then where those guys are, the water is moving quite quickly, so that's, I'm sure, one of the factors they have to take into account. And the rescuers who are getting ready to get on that boat, kind of hard to see through the trees here, but they've got on the thermal suits, the suits that they would use if they're going to enter cold water that could be life-threatening if you're in it for any amount of time. So I'm sure that's one of the things they're concerned about, are keeping these two gentlemen out of that water, because if they get in that water in that swift current, they could be in real trouble in practically no time at all.
For people who are not as familiar with that area of Claremont County, can you give us a little better perspective on where this is located exactly?
Okay, well, a lot of people know where East Fork Lake is, Lake Harsha at East Fork State Park, and this is the East Fork branch of the Little Miami River. It's we're a little bit southeast of Batavia, of downtown Batavia. So this is in the Batavia area and not all that far from East Fork Lake. This is a river, I was telling Nick Ringo, our pilot, earlier, this is a river that I've canoed in before. And so my familiarity with this is that this water is not normally this high. So it's a little bit out of its banks and moving faster than I've seen it. If I was going to go canoeing, I might think better of it for the time being and wait for the river to come down a little bit. So that's exactly where this is, in the Batavia area, and those are the rescuers who are here, are the Batavia Township Fire Department.
All right, Dan, thank you. And I believe we still have Captain Dale Apple on the phone from the Boone Water Rescue, who is very familiar with water rescues. And Captain, I want to ask you, when first responders get to the scene like this, what's the first thing that they look at?
Well, probably one of the first things they looked at is the stability of the two that needs to be rescued. How stable are they? Does it appear they're going to fall off that anyway soon? And then they're going to be constantly evaluating, reevaluating how they're going to get them out of there. And again, their main objective is to keep their personnel safe, but yet make a good rescue. And there's a lot of ways this can be done, through lines from bank to bank. It does appear they have a Zodiac. I can't hardly see it, but it looks like a Zodiac, or they're preparing. The rescuers are well dressed for cold water, and that's always a concern. That hypothermia, it does not affect the rescuers or the people to be rescued.
Captain, I'm looking at that picture, and I believe you are too, and it looks like the rescuers in that inflatable boat are waiting for something. What do you think they're trying to figure out, or what are they waiting for to go into the water?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, they probably already have a plan. They're probably reevaluating the current. That could be one of the things they're doing to get a good read on how this current is moving. So once they get the Zodiac out there, what's going to happen? They're going to try to read all those environmental situations that the rescuer themselves is going to have to be confronted with. So, and that could be a very tough and challenging means just to get to them.
And Captain, we see several people suited up in those orange jumpsuits. How many typically go out in the boat, and when they do rescue these people, will they do one at a time, or is that just a situational decision?
Well, I'm sure that's a decision they are either thinking about or going to come up with. That's always, do you take both? Do you take one? How many rescuers are going to be involved in it? That's up to their policies, and their policies may dictate more than some other departments. But I can tell you that department that's getting ready to work that, they're going to do it safe, they're going to protect their personnel, and they're going to make a good rescue.
Captain, you're familiar with how rivers work and come together, and it looks like a lot of this water looks fairly calm, but right there where the men are, we clearly see rushing water. What is it about that fork right there, or where the water comes together, that makes it dangerous?
Well, there's a lot of things could be happening right there. I mean, the hydraulics of just that moving current could be shifting. You could have undercurrent there. And I'm sure they've already looked at that, or still looking at it. They're trying to figure out what that current's going to do once they get out there. Are they going to deal with a situation if one of them falls in, how they're going to get that person out? How they're going to rescue their own personnel if need be. So I'm sure there's a lot on the ground there that's they're going through and making sure everything is going to be done right.
All right, Captain, thank you. Again, Captain Dale Apple on the phone with us from the Boone Water Rescue. We're going to take it back up to Chopper 9. And Dan, I know we're looking at the same vantage point you have, but you have another perspective. Anything new you're seeing up there from the air in Chopper 9?
Well, I think the observation that you two had earlier about the firefighters waiting for something, and I did not hear the response from the captain from the Boone Water Rescue, but that's what we've been seeing since we've been here. This boat has literally been in this same position since we've been here, and as we look at it, this looks like a very difficult place to put a boat in the water. Now, I don't know that there's a better place to launch this boat, but certainly with all the trees and the brush and everything you've got growing there right in front of them, it looks like a very difficult place to put in. So if this is where they're going to put in, it's good. That part of the rescue is going to be very difficult in and of itself. And so you're right, they are waiting, and they've been waiting, and I would imagine they've been in contact with these two men who are on the other side of the river, but what they're waiting for right now, I just can't figure that out.
For those of you who are just joining us, you are looking at a rescue effort in Claremont County. Two canoeists who are trapped on the Little Miami River. Somehow they got their canoe wrapped around a tree, and as you can see, they're trapped in rushing water at what appears to be a very dangerous intersection. We have rescue crews nearby, apparently trying to figure out the best way to rescue these two men and not endanger their own people.
That's right, and we have been looking at this picture for at least the last 20-30 minutes. We have been talking to Dan Carroll overhead, who is live in Chopper 9, as well as Captain Dale Apple, who's very familiar with water rescues, just trying to get a perspective on what these first responders are looking into and what these canoeists are dealing with as they try to stay above the water. And Captain, are you still with us on the phone?
Yes, I am. One thing that the departments probably have already done, I'm sure they're in some form of contact with those two guys out there. And they're assuring them that they're going to be okay, they're going to come out there and get them. So they've instilled some confidence in those two, and to settle them down and somewhat relax them so they can figure out how to get their personnel up there, how many people they're going to take back at each time, and where are they going to bring them? How are they going to bring them back to where that boat is? Are they going to take them someplace else, maybe less dangerous?
Captain, for people who just joined us, could you run through once again the challenges that face water rescue crews when you're looking at a river and temperatures and swift currents? Can you just run through those for us?
Okay, well, first off, the current, that's a big challenge. This is what we would look at as a pretty risky rescue, but certainly challenging, but yet able to do it. Hypothermia, you got to consider that, the cold water and how that works. You have to also consider if one of them's to get in the water, what direction will they go? They've probably already figured all this out already. If one of them was to slip in that water, what direction that current would take them. And that current, from what I've seen, is splitting. And from my vantage point, it looks like it's splitting. So a lot of things can happen there, and the hydraulics could also be of concern. I'm not sure what that's doing out there as well.
Well, there's also, at this point, it's 5:39, and how much daylight is left. There's the pressure of that.
Well, again, I'm sure they've taken that in consideration too. They're going to want to get those guys out of there before dark. Again, they're going to do what they need to do to safeguard their personnel and at the same time make a good rescue.
And you mentioned that the crews in Claremont County are very good when it comes to water rescues, very used to calls like this. How many calls do come out when the weather starts getting warm? Is this a weekly, monthly thing?
Well, I'm not sure how many calls Claremont County gets, but I know typically whether it's rescue or whatever, Claremont County has a very efficient department. Whether they've actually done rescues like this or not before, I'm not sure live, but I'm sure they've trained for it. And like all departments, they like to train and be ready for any kind of situation. And I suspect Claremont County has that same abilities. Whatever they have in their toolbox, they're going to use it.
All right, Captain, thank you so much for being with us. Hang with us if you don't mind just a little longer. We are going to check back in on this water rescue going on in Claremont County in just a few minutes. We're going to get you to some other news first, but again, we will stay on top of this breaking news happening in Claremont County.